Hello. Am I audible? Oh,
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
okay. Okay. So I think we can start the session as 24 participants have joined. So yeah, okay. So a very good evening to all of you. So today is the first session of the week 12, and as you all know that week 12 is the last week of our course. So probably this will be the last activity practice session of your course. So today, basically, we are planning to arrange a session like we do in our earlier session. Like we use Menti slides, and we can ask some questions based on the week, and you can answer because we wanted some interactive kind of session, right? So that's why we had planned that Menti sessions today. So as you all know, what will be the process in that kind of session. So we'll give you some questions on Mentimeter, and then you can log in and give answers to that. So we just wanted to create a session in a way such that more and more students will be interacting, as this is the last week of this course. So we wanted all of you can to answer and to respond is in this session. So yeah, okay. I think there is enough participants in our meeting. So as we go further, if anyone wants that Mentimeter code and that kind of thing, I just request someone to copy and paste that code to the chat, such that the person who will be joining late, so they can see the code and then can answer. So yeah, okay. So let's start with that session. And let me, okay, before going onto the session, I just wanted to know that how many of you had gone through the videos. Uh, had you watched the videos? Had you tried to attempt the questions, at least the activity questions? So how many of you are up to? You can raise your hands also if you are unable to speak. Okay. So I can see one student, Sachin. Okay. So yeah, we want all of you to be responsive and responding in the session also. So whenever we ask something to you, it is good to hear from you also. So okay. So I can see one student that had raised their hand. So had you watched all the videos or?
Except the last one, I have watched all the videos.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, it is good to anyone speaking. Okay. So, okay, so you are, all of you had maybe watched one or two videos of this week. So at least you get some ideas of the questions and some of the small concept but important concept maybe later in the session. So I just wanted to start the session with our Menti slides. So let me share my screen, and then I'll give you that code through which you can go to that Menti and then able to answer. Okay, let me share my screen first.
Ma'am, I just have a doubt on one of the activity questions. So should I ask in the last or like right now?
Okay, so activity question also we can take it in the between also or at the
Yeah.
last also.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Uh, can you see my screen? Mentimeter screen.
Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, this is the basic instruction that you know how to go to that menti.com and then how to use this code, which is written here. So the code is 58885084. Just go to menti.com and enter this code, or you can also use this QR for entering into that menti. So I just wait for 1 minute and then we can start our session, right? Okay, okay. I can see two people have joined. So I'll wait for some specific amount of student to join and then we can start. And the person who was asking the activity question, I think at the end of the session, you will definitely be clear with your doubt. And if not, we can handle those things at the last. Okay, so I'll wait for some time. So 4 students have joined. I just wait till at least 10 students we can expect in this session to at least be familiar with this question and get. I just wanted to hear from you all, and then we can had a great discussion if you all have had participate. You can see only 4 students. I just request all of you to go to this menti.com and then answer whatever you is in your mind. You can write. It's not mandatory that the only thing, the right thing is applicable, and you cannot write anything other than the right thing. Okay. Is there my screen also? It is 4 people are only joining. Okay. So now it's 5. At least I'm expecting half of the students that are present in the session. At least half you can join in. Okay, I think. Okay, so we waited for I think 2 or 3 minutes. I guess no one is willing to give responses. So I can wait for 1 minute more and then we can definitely start the session. The person who will join late in the session, we can give them the code, and after that they can come to this slides and they can also answer. Okay, so I think we can start. We had already waited for 5 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes, and I think we can start the session. Okay, let me go to the slides. Okay, so can you see my screen? The first question is it visible to you all?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
okay, so our first question is what does deploying an application means? So this is as we are in week 12, so uh, all of the concepts are just based on what deploying an app and what is. So it is very important to know that what do you mean by deploying an app. So Okay, let me hide the results. Then we can see at the end and then we can discuss it on. So, so 6 people are joined. So I'm expecting all of you to respond. It's very basic thing that if you had watched one of the videos or one of the lectures of week 12, you had been driven to the idea that what does a deployment means. We have 4 responses. I'll wait for some time and then we can. Okay, I think we can now see the results what students have given. Okay, so our question was, what does deploying an application means? So the first response that I can see, okay, one more response I can see on the screen. First, it should be accessible from web browser. Okay, it should respond to requests from web browsers. Deploying an app means to use some online hosting platform and make the app a bit more open. Yeah, okay. So it means to make an application active and accessible to the general public over a server connected to the internet. Okay, so at last okay. Deploying an application refers to hosting it somewhere and making the application available to your users or the world. Hosting it somewhere and making the application. Okay, okay, I got it. Accessible from web browser. Process of running an application on a server. Okay. So see, basically, all the things that you all had written uh, is true in some sense. So whenever we talk about deploying an application, so before going into the application part, if we talk in very basic terms and I can say a layman terms. So see, whenever you had built some let's suppose you had built some app and you, so it is only possible that you can be able to access them on your own computer. So this is known as the basically local development environment. Sometimes we can also refer to this kind of environment like as the local host. So whenever you build that app and when you are working on your local host or when you are working on the development environment, so that application code that you had written on your computer only lives on your computer and only accessed by yourself. Okay, so what if I tell you in a layman terms, so what if you wanted to take your local application that the code that you had written to some other user and you need to make it available on the public computer. And what are these public computers? These are nothing but the web servers. Okay, so these computers which we are calling as a web server, what this web server do? This web, this web server will basically keep all of your code. They will run it and deliver pages to anyone who requests them, basically. So the process of moving your code from your computer to a remote public host is basically called a deployment. So this is a basic definition which we can call as a layman terms. If we talk about this deployment in a layman terms, this is the thing which we can say. If we so if we talk in a technical term, so does a deployment means? So see, whenever in a real world, so whenever we build any application, you are not just going to use them in your own environment, which is something called development environment, in the environment in which you had developed your code. So that is something called development environment. So you never wanted your code to reside on only on the development environment. You also want to take them and test them Okay, so further you want to test them, and then you can also wants further processing. So what is the further processing? Let me explain you. So for example, to test them, okay, the code that is on your development environment, that is on your system, the first thing you wanted to test them, so you put them into the Q&A environment. So what is we called as a quality assurance environment, in which we basically test about uh, the things, all the functionings and functional requirement, that kind of things, right? Right. So after that, you also want your user to test them. So you also want to do a user acceptance test. So first, the code is in the development environment. After that, it is going to the QA environment, and after that, it is one more steps. It is one more environment which is in which we are testing our user acceptance test. So where this user acceptance test is happening, it is basically the staging environment. Okay, so we had got from the development environment to the QA environment, and after that we had got into the staging environment. After that, you would also want that the code you had written after the staging environment in which we are performing the user acceptance test, you also want that the real user to use the application, your application. Okay, so after that, it will go to the production environment. Okay, so what does the production environment do? Basically, here the real user of your application will will use your application, and the further things, they test the things, they use your functionality, and they use your feature of your application, such kind of thing in the production environment. So the code which you write in your development environment, you need to put firstly into the QA. After that, it will go to the stage, and then the production. Okay, so this process is called a deployment. This is if we talk about the technical terms, what is a deployment? So this is the various environment from which your code is just going from one stage to another stage. At last, it will go to the production environment, and this whole process of going from your local environment, or you can say the development environment, from the production environment, this whole process is called a deployment. So deployment is basically taking the code from your version control system and putting it in your QA, and then your stage, and then the production. So typically so this is one aspect of deployment. The second aspect is what? Typically, if we don't really take, typically we do, we never take the code as what we write in our development environment. First, we have to change in this code, what you had written on the development environment, in some kind of deployable components, right? So what are these deployment components? Typically, this is kind of a war file, jar file, this kind of thing. So what does we can see from here, that the component or the code is not the thing we have written. It is just a thing that is wrapped. Okay, so we build a deployment component here. Typically, what we say, a kind of file, a specific kind of file that is just going to one environment to another environment. Okay, so this is second aspect. So deployment also involves a lot of other things, like you might want to configure like which web services you are using, Google services, or AWS, or Amazon. Okay, so Amazon services, which web services you want to take for your deployment, whole process of deployment. So this is the third thing. So there might be a possibility that the web services that you are using in your development environment might be different from the web service you will use in your QA. So the type of web services is very important, and it is basically depend upon the type of content you have, the type of feature you have. All of the things basically is responsible for choosing which web services you will use in the process of deployment. So uh, this is the fourth point. Okay, if we go further, so the jar and the var file, which we are calling as a deployment component, that will go from one environment to the another environment, will not change, will never change between this various environment. Okay, but the configuration of your application will change. Configuration means what? The web services. Maybe you are on the staging environment, and you are using some another services, and you are on your QA environment, and you are using some other services. So configuration is a thing which we can say that it will differ, but the type of what I say, the design of the deployable component, which is we are making a build, it will never change from one environment to another environment. Third thing is to the database. So third thing is to the what we call a database environment, in which your environment, which environment is connected to which kind of database, it is also important. Okay, so what in that stage, what we do, we make sure that the database is updated with all the new tables, all the new schemas, or whenever we had posting some changes to our feature or our code, the tables are updated or not, the schemas are updated or not. So this is also a kind of thing we will have to take a point on. So this is the also fifth, yeah, this is our fifth point. So okay, so this is basically the thing deployment is all about. So this is just a process that how your code that you had written on your personal computer or on your local host is going to different stages, and what are the database that has been connected to each and every environment, and how they are updating itself, and how the tables are updating within the database. These all things, when your goes from your local environment to finally at the production environment, this whole process is called the deployment. So if we talk about the deploying an application, so yeah, if an application is deployed, so you can easily access that application through your web browser, and any number of peoples, any number of users, so it can they can use your application whenever it is in a production environment. Any number of user can use it. Okay, so that's why we often deploy our application, that more and more number of people can use your application. So that is the thing. This is a basic thing. So okay. So after that, how a deployment how a deployment will take place, how the things will go on. So this is some kind of thing that we will discuss in the further part of the session. So the practical aspect is that how we can deploy an application. This is just a basic thing that I just wanted to add upon what you guys are written over here. So I just added some points. So this is just a basic theoretical thing. And the practical thing is somewhere which we can discuss in the further part. So this is all about deploying an application. We are not going into much details that how which web services is responsible for which kind of environment, and those databases and all things. We are not going into detail. So okay, so this is all about the deployment. So whatever I had said. So is there anything that creates a confusion? If you have any queries, then you can ask, or if not, we can go into the next slide and then can discuss another question. So I can see one more at the end. It should also go to the version management cycle for any kind of change. Yeah, it will go to whenever you write a code and you will commit the change in your version control system, and it will go to the production environment. Every time it will go to it will come if you are committing the change, it will go into a testing environment. right? It will go to testing environment, then staging environment. So every time you are committing your change in your version control system, the whole process will begin from just from the starting. Okay, so this is the thing. I'll explain you further parts that how this continuation integration and deployment happens. So this is some another questions in our further part of the session. So uh, apart from that, whatever I had said, is there some confusion regarding this? Or we can go to the next question. Am I audible or yes? I think I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay, so I think you all are clear with this question. If no one is asking anything, so if not, then we can we go to the next question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So okay, this is very basic concept. So I assume that all of you had cleared up that uh, what a basic deployment means. So let's go to the next question. Can you see my question? Question on the screen. What is the difference between CI and CD? If this question is visible on your screen, please start responding. I think there is no one till now who had attempted or written something. Okay, so I'll wait for 1 minute and then 1 or 2 minutes. I just wanted all of you to just respond, and then we can have a fair discussion about this. So is my screen visible or just okay.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, so one person now had answered. Okay, I think there were some issue in my screen. That's it. Okay, so 4 students had responded to this question. I just wait for 1 minute. I think we can expect 6 or 7 responses. Whatever there is in your mind, you can write it. We can see what else can be added by. Okay. I can see only 4 students till now. Okay, I think we can start the discussion. Okay, let me go to this. Okay, so our questions, our question was, what is the difference between CI and CD? So I can see four responses here. First one is the continuous integration and continuous delivery. Okay, so this is basically the full form of CI and CD. Okay, fine. Related to changes management and deployment. Okay. CI and CD stand for continuous integration and continuous delivery, continuous deployment. CI is a modern software development practice in which incremental code changes are made frequently and reliably. Okay. So our fourth response is Agile tool with DevOps helping CI and CD. Okay. Is there a name of a tool? Agile. I think I heard something like Agile, but I don't know about Agile tool. So CI stands for continuous integration and CD stands for continuous deployment delivery. Okay. So yeah, I can see you all had attempted. Okay, so I am happy to see at least all of you the five of you have attempted these questions at least. So okay, I can see one more. Continuous integration CI is basically practice of automating the integration of code changes from the multiple contributor into a single software project, while CD is delivery deployment of those changes. Okay, so yeah, this is basically the basic thing that what is the CI and CD is. So okay, so let me add some of the points here. So before going into the detail into what is CI and what is CD, had you all know about what is DevOps? Had you all heard something like DevOps and all? As we are learning these things like CI and CD. It is very relatable to something called DevOps. So had you all heard about? Okay, I cannot see the chat. So if anyone is responding in the chat, I can't see here in my screen. Okay. Yes. Okay. So yeah. So basically, before going into the what is the difference between CI and CD? Basically, what is CI and what is CD? How they are related. So before going into that thing, I just wanted to tell you some points about DevOps. So DevOps is very large and detailed concept. So I'm not going into very much details, but before going to CI and CD, it is important to learn that where these things are coming. So see, I'll just give you an example of one scenario, and then I can uh, explain you that what is CI and CD. For example, let's say we have a company. Okay, can you go to that whiteboard? I think whenever I'm sharing my screen, I cannot go to that whiteboard. Cannot. Okay, so let me only I can speak only. Okay. So see, there is a one scenario, like for example, there is a company known as XYZ, and there is a developer there. Okay, there is a developer called D. Okay, so D is a developer who write code for the new products, the new features, the updates, the bug fixes, and all these things related to particular to a application or a software. So this person, the D, is basically responsible for developing or development of that software. Okay, so this is the first thing. So unfortunately, he need to wait weeks and weeks for the work to be placed on its production environment. So let's suppose he prepared one module. He had given 2 or 3 modules to prepare, and he prepared one module out of those modules. And after that, he will have to wait for weeks to be placed on that production environment. So it is not possible till now. It is not possible to for that person to directly go to the production environment after the development of the software and go and then show to the user, directly give the user to use that software. So there is this delay increases the pressure, okay, the pressure of staying uh, fast and competitive in the market, right? Because some other competitors of within the market are just able to deploy new products very fastly. So how this is happening? So in additional to this burden, that he is just in pressure that okay, I'm done with my feature, I'm done with my model, but my this code, the code part that I had written, it is not just possible to go to the production environment and just deploy it. Okay, so in additional to this pressure, there is one more pressure. So what is this? The delay makes it challenging for that developer D to manage both the code that he had written and the code that is pending to be pushed. Okay, so maybe there are more modules in uh, for him to work on. So let's say he had 4 modules to be worked on and he had prepared one, and there are 4 more. So he had a pressure that okay, so I had 4 more modules to work, but I had completed one, but it is not only also not going to the production environment. So the both of the pressure is on that developer. Okay, so when, and one more thing here is, when that developer D is finally deployed to the production environment, some error will occur and problem will occur after the month or week whenever he is able to deploy that software module. So there may be that he can find errors or problems or bugs in the software that he had made. So okay, this is first scenario, that we had a developer in a company, and this is some of the pressure that uh, he's facing. After that, let's say we have a person OP. Okay, let's say a person OP, and what this person OP is doing, it is from the operational team of that particular company. And what is the main thing which is what is the main responsibility of an operational team? The main responsibility of an operational team is to take the particular module from the developer and deploy it on the production server or production environment. So this is the main thing that a operational team will do. So they are responsible for maintaining and assuring the production environment, how this the working within the production environment, this kind of thing. So this is one thing, that what is they are doing. Second is the number of servers is increasing in the particular production environment, right? Why this is increasing? Let's say there are more and more number of requests for certain features in an application is coming to the particular company, and they just wanted to give them more and more features to the application, and they are just this kind of thing the particular person that is OP from the operational team is facing, like the number of increasing servers in the production environment. Usually when new code is released, okay, whenever a new code is released, it takes a little work on it to fit into the environment, the final environment, which is the production environment. So this is the main responsibility of the operational team. So how to work on that particular piece of code such that it will fit into the production environment. So this is why she requires, like, which she requires to like deployment schedules, right? They want she will arrange a kind of schedules, dates, and such that they will allow only the code to be come into the production environment after a month. Okay, such that they will get up sufficient amount of time to work upon the code and make it like fit into the environment. So they are doing these things only after a month. They are accepting the particular code only after the month. This is something. So now the new code is actually, whenever the new code is actually deployed, it is the responsibility to diagnose any error or problem caused by the changes. So like we are at the developer side also, they are facing some issue, and in the operational team is also facing some issue. So what if, what is the solution? So what if the developer and the operational team work together? Okay, so what if the both of the team work together? So this is what we call the DevOps. So developers and the operational team, dev from the developer, and ops from the operational team. So this is a concept that integrate developers and operational team in order to improve collaboration and productivity and efficiency within the team. So this is something very basic concept under the which is we call as a developer, sorry, DevOps. So this is a very basic concept. Now if we talk about the CI and CD, so these are nothing but the basic principles of DevOps. Okay, these are the two things which is a basic principle of DevOps. So what is the basic principle? So if we talk, if we go back and talk about waterfall model, if we go to the SDLC models, and waterfall is one of them. So let's say if you have a client, and client says that okay, we want to build a software, and they tell that they want a software. Okay, so now in this case, if you need some if you in this case, what you need, you need some times, right? You need some time to build a project, maybe 1 year or 6 months or 2 months or 5 years or 2 years. It's depend upon the type of feature they are asking about. Okay, so here in this case, we cannot ask our client that is asking for the software to wait till one month or 1 year or 5 years. This is not possible. That will they will so this are changing very fast, right? They so the client cannot wait for this large amount of time. So it is possible that there will be some miscommunication between the client. So it is possible that okay, after let's say after a year, the company provide the particular software that which the client is asking about, and then client say okay, this is not the thing which I am expecting. So this there will be some kind of miscommunication in this gap, 1 year gap. Okay, so we need that continuous feedback that from the client, and that's why we are using a different approach. Nowadays we are using agile. Okay, agile, in agile what we are doing, so agile is basically responsible to give your client a ready product in every 2 to 3 weeks. Not the entire product, not the whole software, only a very small part of that software in every 2 to 3 weeks, but only a part of it. So let's suppose you have 10 features and you can give one features in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. This will be really beneficial, right? Will be really beneficial for the client side, because you are getting a continuous feedback from them. The communication is happening, and they are telling okay, we don't like this, we want this kind of feedbacks. So in we are not using waterfall model. That's why we are using agile model nowadays. So once the thing, one thing is there is that we are using agile. Second thing is, suppose you are working on one project, and in that project you have certain modules. Okay, we have 4 to 5 modules or 10 modules, and you have multiple developers who are working on it. So what if you have so what is the scenario if let's say one module we are giving to each developers, and now as a software developer you are working on a project, and let's say you had created one module. Okay, you had tested it. Your code is just perfectly working, and you have done your unit testing on it. It is running perfectly, but you had missed one thing here. Okay, as a developer, as a single developer who is working on a particular one module, so you had missed a thing which is called a what we call it as integration testing. Okay, you had done a unit testing on your code as a developer, but you had missing the integration testing. So what, because all of this developer work together, right? All of those developer are working on the same project, but different modules. So they are all working together, so they have to integrate it somewhere, so that the operational team, which is just responsible to taking the project from the developers and deploying it to the servers, production servers, so we had to perform this integration testing. So how do we do that? So this is something we call as a automation testing. So here, let's say, so this let's say we have one developer, and he had decided to work for 1 week, and then he had completed those modules and integrate the project. And sorry, so it will, they are preparing or working on a particular module, and they are prepared the module, they are done with the module. So let's say there is 1 week time the operational team has given to all of the developers, right? And he has uh, prepared that module in 2 or 3 days only. So what if something, let's say he had done that unit testing, all of these things on the modules. So what if something goes wrong in the, and then there will be automation test, right? After the unit test, there is something called the automation test. What if something goes wrong in the automation test? What if there are some bugs that we can find in our in their code? So this is a problem, because you don't want to wait for entire week. Now if you are, if you are submitting your code after a week and you find some bugs, so it is, you have to wait for the entire another entire week to submit your project. Okay, so to solve this kind of problem, we have a concept of continuous integration. So CI stands for basically continuous integration. So what happens if you integrate your modules continuously? So this is basically the concept behind continuous integration. Like in here you can integrate your modules continuously. Suppose in a day you may be doing 5 to 6 commits. So every time you make a change, everything you are doing, everything you are committing, it's work, and it is perfectly working for you. You had done your unit test. So after just you are committed on the repository, so this is possible with the help of continuous integration. So advantage would be, let's say you have 5 developers and all these peoples will be committing to the server, and every time you commit there, it will be a automatic automation testing. So every time you commit, it will go through an automation test, which means like it will go to a perfect automation testing, like a user acceptance testing and all kind of things. So basically this is the CI. So CI simply means that instead of committing at the end of the day or end of the week or end of the month, so at the moment you write the code for the moment, and you think it is ready, it's working, it has passed on all your unit testing. So you can also, you can commit whenever you want, and you can see that how many bugs are there. You can fix it with the help of automation testing. So after that, if we talk about the concept of continuous delivery, okay, delivery, there is one more thing like continuous deployment. So see, continuous deployment is somewhere different. A very little difference is between continuous deployment and continuous delivery. As I can see, many of you had written like continuous delivery and deployment. So this is the both these things are different. So how they are different? See, When you say continuous integration, you, so what we can say from that, that you are having a project and you are committing your project or modules very often. Now it is possible that you're committing your internal repository, and after committing thing, it's ready for delivery. Let's say they are passing all the automation tests, they are passing all the unit testing, all of things, and your modules is just ready for delivery. Maybe your client says that we want to see the progress, we want to see what you had made. Okay, this your modules is just going through all the automation testing. Now I want to see your working thing. So what you do, so you will be getting a production like server, not a production server, a fake server, or we can say that a dummy server, and you will run the current project that is working on your what did we say, the automation testing here. You are performing all the testing on your modules, and it has passed all the testing, and now you are not going to run those okay, you are not going to deploy the main thing in the production server, but you are just giving them a view, or you are mimicking it, or you are doing the thing on the fake server. Okay, so the current project you are demonstrating it on a fake server and not the production server. So this way you can check the performance of the system. So you are, what you are doing, you are mimicking how your project will look at your the production environment when you go to the production environment. So this is continuous delivery. Okay, and if we talk about what is continuous deployment, so see, of course, you will not going to deploy it on the production server, but you are keeping ready for deployment. Okay, your product is absolutely ready for deploying it. But whenever some client, or the client who ask for you to please show me that what you had done, you can show them your product, your final product on a fake environment. But at the last, you know that your product is ready for deploying. So previously, what I had said is continuous delivery. So now in continuous deployment, the moment you commit your code after the automation test, and it will not go to the fake or the dummy server. Okay, it will not go to the dummy server, and it is directly going to the production server. So this time we call it as a continuous deployment. Okay, so it is not going to the mock server, or we can say that dummy server, to show some client that okay, this is the final product we had made. The continuous deployment is something that it is directly after the automation testing, it is going to the production server. So this is something like CD, continuous deployment and delivery. So this is okay. So this is all about CI and CD basically. If anything just you just want to ask, so you can ask it now. Let me open the chat. Is there anything on the chat? I can't able to see the chat. Okay, so any questions or any queries regarding this CI and CD? What I had told till now, is there any things to discuss, or anything which you had confused? You can write it on chat also if you are not able to unmute yourself. Then we can also go to the next question if there is nothing like query about this question. Then we can go to the next question. Okay, am I audible or not?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, okay. So, can we go to the next question if you all had you all had anything to ask related to this CI and CD? I think this is clear as far as I explained. So, can I go to the next question then? Okay, I think we can go to the next question if no one has any queries. So let me go to the next question. Okay, so this is the okay. So this is our third question. Like, what are content delivery networks? So these things is very basic, and you had read about this concept in the previous weeks also. So I just wanted to give you some. Okay, so let me first see your responses, and then we can discuss on this question. Very minute concept, but it is important also. Let me hide the result. Okay. I just wanted to you all to just quickly give the answer of this, because this is something that we had discussed in the previous weeks also. Like, what is a CDN? So I'm waiting for all of you to respond. I can see on the screen that there is no student down as far as now. Okay. Let me hide the result first. Okay, I can see one student. So whatever you want to write, or whatever you know about CDN, you can write it on this Menti. It's something that we had learned on, we had seen in the previous sessions, sorry, previous lectures, previous week lectures also. And if you had seen the first lecture of week 12, you will encounter this CDN in the lectures also. The slides also, you can see the CDN. So so one hint from my side, if you know about the proxy server, okay, so if you know about the proxy server, you definitely know the CDN. It is very much dependent on the proxy server. And about this proxy server, we had learned about in the previous week. So that's why I'm assuming that you all know that what is content delivery networks, CDN. Okay. Okay. I think we had two responses. I think we can continue discussing, because I don't know what is the issue, why people are not responding. I don't know. I don't have any idea. But you can also give response to in the chat if you are not able to log in into that menti.com. You can also be able to write it on chat or unmute yourself, and then you can answer. Only two people's I can see here. So let me go to see the results. Okay, so the first is Content Delivery Network, or CDN, is a geographical distributed network of servers typically used to deliver static data to decrease the load on your server. Okay. Hmm. Second is the number of servers spread across the various locations for providing fast network accessibility and internet content. Okay. Okay, so yeah, this is the basic thing. This is the this whatever you had written, that okay. So this is fine. This looks right fine to me. So basically, see what is the basic concept behind what we had why we had introduced the CDN and this kind of thing. Well, how the CDN comes into picture, why we if we are using CDN nowadays. So understand why CDN are so widely used. So first you need to know that what is the basic problem. Okay, so basic problem was the latency. So latency is what? The latency is the time between you had requested something from the web servers and the web server is sending you the response. The whole process, the whole time between you send the request and you get the response. So this is something called a latency. So this is the basic issue. That's why the CDN comes into picture. So for example, if you visit a website, you are being loading content from the server. Okay, let's say we have a server, we have a main server, and whenever you visit any kind of website, the server all the contents are loading from that server. And if you are not using a CDN and you are going, so what this does, so it will putting extra stress or extra server on the sorry extra pressure on the server. Now if you, let's say, suppose if you have tons of requests, we are talking about one request. Now let's suppose you have one server, a website server, and tons of requests are coming onto the particular server. And what basically happens, it will low down your that efficiency. Your server will crash, or this kind of thing will happen. Okay, it will be very slow, unresponsive, pages will be unresponsive. This kind of, your system hangs. This kind of thing you can notice if a particular server is handling so many of requests at the at a particular time. So so now uh, how do we know a way, how do we opt for a way that this pressure or the stress of only a single server will reduce? So our answer would be CDN. So what CDN basically do, it just distribute the static content, basic distribute the static content of your website, like videos, images, and put them in the location closer to the people that you are serving. Okay, so yeah, the content. And let's say you want a website, you want a website to appear on your screen, which origins from something like USA, from USA. That website is from US, and you are just wanted that website to appear on your screen. So what the CDN network do? The CDN network basically, why we distributed a particular server into many servers, and instead of going to the server which is situated in the US, we just have to uh, request some that content into the server which is really close to us. So if we go dig deeper into the concept of CDN, so let's say these services have servers all over the world, and what it does basically, it caches. Okay, it caches the content to those server, the proxy servers. We can also say a content delivery networks are group of proxy server. Okay, all the nodes, or all the computers, or all the servers inside the CDN network, is nothing but a proxy server. Okay, so instead in the proxy server, what we do, we cache things. We cache contents from the main server. Okay, so instead of going to the personal server and thus taking the load of taking the content from there, we can easily take the content from our remote server. That is nothing but the proxy server that is situated in between the client and the web server, main server or the main web server. So CDN, if we talk about CDN structure, let's say we can compare a CDN structure with a tree. Okay, so at the very top you have your server, your very primary or main server, and then this is a root source of everything from your website. Okay, all the pictures, all the videos, all the contents, images, all of these stuffs are there on your main server. And then let's say we have content delivery networks in which we have number of proxy servers like a tree branch. Okay, so how does this happen? It's usually by DNS changes. So as you know that to access any computer on web or on internet, we have a specific IP address. Okay, IP address of that computer. So how does our domain name will be converted into the IP address? It is the DNS server. Okay, so in this way we can see the content delivery network is nothing but the group of proxy server. So how this CDN will work? If we talk about the working of CDN, so the first thing we had to put in mind that these CDN have things called nodes. So these nodes are servers all around the world. They get and yeah, okay. So these nodes are nothing but the servers which are situated or placed all around the world and as many places as possible to serve the content locally and then work with those content. Okay, so this is the basic concept. First, second thing to remember in mind is what is something called we know something called caching. So there is a slight difference between CDN and caching. So CDN are nothing but the group of proxy server serving content to user, whichever user is uh, requesting for the particular server. So this is one thing. If we talk about caching, so caching is what do you mean by caching? So see, caching is process of storing out information on this proxy server. Nothing but the process of storing all the content from those main server into the proxy server. So all of this will work in this way such that the person which is situated in Delhi is not going to request that particular content, whichever the static thing that I'm talking about, images and videos, not have to request the request to the main server. They can get the content, they can get the resource from the nearest CDN nearest node that is present under the CDN network. So they can also go there and the proxy server will fulfill their request and give them their response that they are asking about. So this is all about the CDN. So CDN basically places before the user and the main server. It is something that is in between, and all the content they are just caching from the main server, and all the things are present in the cache server. Whenever the user requests, they can get the response from the nearest proxy server available. So this is all about the content delivery networks or CDN. We can also call it as we can say it as a group of proxy server. Okay, so caching is different thing and CDN is different thing. Caching is just a process, but the content delivery network consists of all of those process. Sorry, all of those proxy servers which uses this process of known as caching. So this is all about the CDN. Okay, so that's all. Okay, I think there is no one had answered more than two. So we can. Okay, is there any questions regarding this concept regarding the content delivery networks? Whatever I had said, or any confusion regarding CDN and proxy servers? Anyone speaking? Okay. Okay, I think. Okay. Anyone speaking? Anyone is unmuting themselves? I can hear. Okay. I think we can go to the next question if everyone is clear with this content delivery networks. Let me go to the next question. I think this question is clear.
Okay, so the next question is based on what is
Okay.
version control
What do you
system?
mean by
Yeah,
version control? There is some typos here. Okay. So yeah, this is our question.
What is version control system? So you have to just whatever you know about the version control system, you just type it over here. So the code to join the menti.com is 5885084. So kindly join the Mentimeter and type whatever the answers you know about version control system. Can you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yeah. Then kindly please join the Mentimeter using the code 5885084 and type what is version control system. And what you have understand about version control system. So actually there is a type error. So either you can understand the question as what is version control or what do you mean by version control system. Kindly understand these sessions are handled only for you students. So if you are joining means you can utilize somewhat whatever you have learned from that video lectures of Nitin sir as well as screencast. I think screencast is not there for week 12. So at least if you have gone through the video lectures, you can answer. So far, whatever you have learned for version control, you can just answer for it. So kindly join Mentimeter and post your answers. Otherwise, you can post your answers in chat box also. No one have joined Mentimeter. Yes, if anyone is willing to answer, you can also unmute your mic and you can give the answer directly instead of joining here also. So that also three options. Either you can join through Mentimeter or you can unmute yourself and present the answer here, or you can post the answer in the chat box. One student have answered. only one student so far. Okay, at least one student have given their solutions for this version control. So let's wait for 2 more minutes. So others, please kindly respond to the query. What do you understand about version control? So you just, okay, one answer is in chat box. Version control is to track the version of the code changes. Okay, very good. Okay. And any other answers? Persons have answered the question. Answers. Okay, I think waiting beyond this, it will take more time. So just Sonal, you can uh, reveal the solution. Okay. So version control system tracks and manage changes to your code, helping you to build or code efficiently. So that is also correct. So just what you have given here is the definition of version control. Anyone can represent what are the different things you have come across so far, which is used as version control system or version control software. So any example for version control system or version control software? And one more definition for version control. It empowers us to track changes in files and different people. Yes, exactly. So you can able to track it and you can work simultaneously on it. Right? So that is also a correct answer. Okay. I think since two have posted in chat box, they are feeling difficult to log into Mentimeter. Only 2% have logged in Mentimeter. Okay. Now let me explain why this version control system is very much important nowadays to do your projects or to develop an application, etc. Right. So the best example of version control, what we are using nowadays is Git, right? It can be so Git, it's a repository which is used to store your programming contents in it, as well as it will act as a version control software or system, right? So what are the properties of this version control software or system is it is used to manage the change, whatever the changes you are, for example, consider you are doing your current project code in your system, right? So while if you have changing a particular lines in your project code, and if you're coming back for tomorrow session, automatically there may be a chance that you have forgot that what you have done previously, right? Similarly, if you have left a gap of 2 or 3 days, more than 1 week or more than 1 month, obviously the memory representation what you have done previously, you have to start doing from the scratch, right? So tracking back or of the status of the project code is difficult if you're doing in a normal system. Whatever project you're doing in a normal system is, these are the difficulties normally we will face, right? So backupping, so for that what you will do, we will back up the old code, and then we will save it as a new file, and we will do the changes in the new file. And if it is not, if it is working file, what we will do the changes in the old file, right? So same concept is used in this version control software system. So what the main purpose of this is to, it will manage all the changes that has been made to the code. So for example, a best example that you can visualize in your MAD1 class is Wiki, right? So Wiki is also implemented in the GitLab, which is also a version control system. So so Git is the best example. So how it is implemented, anyone who's interested to contribute to that particular wiki, they can write their own code and they can test within their own system. And if it runs correctly, and if you are able to see it in your local web server, automatically you can push that code to the main version of the code. And if the person who have implemented the master branch of that particular code, he will go through what are the contents that is available. He or she will go through what are the contents that are available in your branch. And if he finds that it is okay for the code that has been given, automatically what they will do, they will accept the branch request, and that will be implemented in your master branch. So the meaning is, the repository, whatever is created using that Git version control, it will create a you can able to copy, or you can able to create a branch to your own local system. Right. So first, what you have to do is you should have a login account in that Git, and by creating a login account, and if you are trying to access that particular HTTP URL link from that particular Git repository, you can create a branch for your own. After copying, that is known as cloning, right? So after cloning the master branch to your login ID branch is known as cloning. So after cloning that, you can clone the same branch what you have done in your login page. You can copy it and you can clone the content of the project to your local system. So that is known as cloning, right? So whatever exactly that has been executed for that particular GitLab, that will be implemented in this system. Okay, now the entire code that is implemented for that particular repository is available in my system also. So I have cloned the entire thing by creating a branch to my own login. And after that, so let me explain this by presenting my screen. Just give me 1 minute. Sonal, actually, I can't able to share my screen because now I'm not co-host. Okay, let me explain. Can you able to hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. So actually, I cannot able to share my screen because they have not represented me as co-host. If it is co-host only, I can able to share my screen. Okay, no problem. So that is what. So now you have created a branch for the master branch, and that is available in your login of Git. Either it can be a GitLab or Git. So after that, now I have downloaded, cloned the exact project that is implemented in that repository, and that is locally available in my system. Okay, so now after cloning that, you can run that particular project by satisfying the normally whatever repository you are creating in the Git, it will contains of requirements.txt. Right. So that based on that requirements.txt, you have to install whatever the requirements package that is needed for your needed for that already existing project, and you can download everything. So now the local system is ready for the project, and you can run this project and check whether it is running in your local web server, that is local host, right? 127.0.0.1:5000. And after checking all these conditions, now the part what you are going to do here is you are going to include any folders, or you are going to include any files inside the already existing folders. Everything can be done from this part, right? So after writing your own code, which option should be represented in that so for example, as I have said before, wiki, already existing wiki is also implemented in that same way, right? So whatever we are going to add as a new feature, or already existing things can be also modified. Everything can be done as a separate branch, right? So after checking, so after creating that files and folders of your additional information, what I'm going to do it now, I'm going to check whether it is running locally, exactly how it is appear in the internet by going to the web server already it is hosted, right? So similar, so I will check with the already existing web application that is available in the internet, as well as the application which is running locally in my system, right? And after, if the modifications are working properly, as well as the new features that I have added to that branch is also working properly, then what we have to do, so we have cloned it, we have implemented the modifications. Now we are going to push the content to the repository, which is going to be loaded into your branch that you have created in your login account. Okay, so what it will do, okay, now they have added me as co-host. Okay, just I will share my screen here. So is my screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So now, so as I have said before, just I will show it in a diagrammatic representation. So this is the application that is master branch. So MB is the master branch already running in the existing web server, and anyone can access this application through internet. Okay. Right. So consider it is of GitLab. So so Git is also, Git is represented as version control system, as well as GitLab is also coming under version control system. So now what I am going to do, I am going to log in to GitLab, get my own credentials, own login details. So this is my login, right? And I'm going to, in which URL this particular application, so you can able to fork it, right? So forking is nothing but you are going to just create a child for the already existing branch, right? So just fork it and copy that link. Right, so copy that. So this can be possible after login, right? After login only you can able to fork the existing branch, right? So after login I have forked the existing branch. So what I'm going to do, this forked branch is a branch for my login, right? So for example, if it is available for master, let me consider as master slash some file name dot something here, right? So here the same thing will be represented as branch. So instead of branch, your login ID will be here. So for understanding, I'm representing, right? So HTTPS colon slash slash whatever the content of the domain, everything will come. Since it is of GitLab, GitLab domain will follow here. Similarly, here also HTTPS master slash that file, what application you are running, that brand master branch name. So here the branch belonging, so this is based on the login. For example, here I have represented as Devi. Devi will be the branch name, right? So that will be the branch name slash and then the application path. So now, so this is the difference between the master branch and your branch, what you have forked from the master branch. Now I have forked my branch. So now after installing the GitLab in my laptop or system. So what I'm going to do here, so consider it as a Python, the terminal of Linux system. So I have installed GitLab. So now what I'm going to do, git clone. So you can create a folder based on which you are going to store this particular branch and all, right? That you can do it by yourself. So git clone. This URL you have to copy it, copy this URL and paste it here. Paste the entire URL by, so this is the command to clone the existing. So this is available in your login of GitLab. So you are just cloning to your local system, right? So that for example, if you want to clone it with a folder name, any folder name as project, right? So project slash something you can, right? So I have copy paste the link here. So once you have click on the enter button, automatically it will start executing the entire thing that is needed for this particular project that is already available in this particular GitLab link, right? So everything will be downloaded and installed in your system, local system. So now what I'm going to do after installing it, so for example, if I want to include a folder to this particular already existing. So after this only I have told you have to check for ls. ls means it will list what are the files that are already stored using this git clone. For example, the master root directory of this particular thing is represented as files. So if you give ls, files will be available. So within that files, you can search for requirement.txt. So in that requirements.txt, it will show you what are the things to be installed for the working purpose of this particular project, right? For example, Flask should be imported. So like that, it should be, it will have, so pip install, it will have statements like pip install. Already you will be familiar with the requirements.txt because most of the screenshot will be based on that requirements.txt and you have to use that, right? So similar to that, you have to install that requirements.txt in this also to execute this particular project. After that, so here I'm writing. Now I'm going to create, add a folder to the existing project. So mkdir and then the folder name and then change directory cd folder name. So here I am giving the folder name as F1. And within that folder, whatever Python file you are writing or you are writing any MD file, any file, right? So you can open a text editor or Sublime editor and you can write the MD file, whichever is needed to display it in your local system. So what is the criteria that is needed for the particular project? Either it is a Python file, py file, whatever it may be, right? So that has to be done after doing this. So I have made all the changes now, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back from the folder cd double dot. So whatever changes that I need, I have created a new folder and I have created a new file that is based on the text editor or Sublime editor. And that is stored within this F1 folder. Now I am coming back to the previous folder cd double dot. So now I am in the root folder. So now what I am going to do, so I'm going to check whether this particular project is run, right? So for example, files.py is the main file that has to be executed. I will just execute Python files.py. or main.py, whatever file which has to be executed first, that will be executed. And after executing this particular file, your web server will be loaded in your local system, and you will go to that particular URL 127 http ://1. So you will go to that particular URL and check whether the project gets loaded, and this modification, new feature adding of this folder, and whatever the files within that particular folder are available within that web server that is running local, right? Once you have verified all the things that are available in that particular URL, next time what I'm going to do, git push, right? So git push, and then for example, I'm going to push the F1 to that particular, because now I am in that, after cloned only I'm here, right? So after cloning and then making changes, I'm now in the root directory only, right? So git push that thing, what you want to push it to that particular branch that I have created under my login, you have to use this git push command and then F1. Then automatically what it will do, this particular changes will be pushed to this branch that has been created by you in this GitLab, right? So after updating this, from this, now I have to log into GitLab and go to here and run this particular URL and check whether the changes that I have made it in the local web server thing that is available in this branch URL or not. So if it is working properly, then I will send a request that is known as message request, right? So then I will send a message request to the master branch, and that person who have created the master branch will receive an email based on this, as well as when he log into GitLab also, he will get notification. So he will get the message request from that particular branch, and he will verify what are the things that has been modified. If there is any corrections also, he can specify through email or any other things, right? And if everything is okay, what this particular person will do, he will accept the message request. So once the message request is accepted, that will be loaded to the master branch that is already existing. So now, so far, whatever things I'm doing until updating my new feature, the old one is working perfectly. I have not stopped the master at any cost to do my modification, as well as to do my new feature insertion and all, right? So master is working perfectly. Still, I have not updated anything to the master, right? So once after doing all this process, once the message request is accepted, your modification of new features as well as modification of existing thing will be updated in the master. So this is how the version, so we are requesting for branch and the branch is created. So any number of branches, so simultaneous working process is also possible only in this version control system, and that will not affect the master branch that is already available, right? So that is the very important thing, right? So normally in normal project implementation and all, we will do the same project for multiple times only because of we will forgot about the backup what we have done previously, right? So and we need to keep a large number of copies, so that and all not necessary for this type of version control system, right? So I think I have covered what is a version control system, and if you have any queries related to this version control system, you can ask me now. I think one question is,
ma'am, what is the difference between forking and cloning?
yes, can you please little bit louder? I cannot able to hear you.
Ma'am, what is the difference between cloning and forking the branch?
Forking the branch. Forking means creating a same branch as a So creating child branch for the existing branch is known as forking. So that means the main branch, so that is what I have represented. Here it will have a different name, which is the original branch. And this will be the child of that master branch, which will be created with a different name. Did you got it?
And what is cloning?
Cloning means, cloning means what? Whatever things that is implemented in the application server, that will be cloned to your own local machine. Right? So this is just creating a child for the existing URL. And this is whatever content in the URL, the content will be loaded to your local machine. Cloning means the content will be loaded. Or what, for example, if you have used Python Flask or some many so many number of packages will be used in your project, right? So all the content will be automatically loaded and installed using that cloning, right? So cloning means we are creating the exactly running master branch application in your local system. And this forking means just creating a copy of the URL that is already existing for that and not copy, it's a child. That means you can represent this is the master and this is the child. And this child cannot be made as a public one, but this is master is public. This is only for your own use. And if you want to collaborate with your friends, you can share this your forked branch with your friends to identify if there is any modifications to be done, that and all you can able to do. But this child will directly speak to the parent. That means whatever output it is sending, that will be sent as a message request to the parent, and the accepting and not accepting will be taken care of the person who have implemented the project using that GitLab or a Git, whatever it is. So that is why if you are looking for projects in Git repository, it will have so many number of updations that will be done. So it is represented as version control. So the updations and adding new features will be done frequently in that. Got it?
Yes, Replit is an example of this forking thing, right?
Pardon me? Can you please?
Replit, in Replit, when we fork a code, someone else's code.
Yeah. A replet, if you fork, means it is creating a child process for the existing process. Okay. Okay, any other questions related to this? Yes. Any more questions related to this version control system? So mainly the features of version control is easy to manage changes to the code, and it retains the backup of the old code. Even though the new code is updated, it will retain the backup of old code, and you can able to develop new features without affecting the old code. And fixing the bugs is also very easy, because which branch is updated recently, based on that the bugs can be identified easily, right? So backupping of code is reduced if you are using a version control system, as well as you can implement new features without affecting the already existing system, right? So these are the main benefits of version control in your subject that is based on week 12 content. Is any other doubt regarding this?
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Am I audible? Okay.
Yes, so ma'am.
So if there is no query now, we can move to the next question that we have planned.
Okay.
So there is more, there is time left, so we can cover the last
Yes, we
questions.
can move on to the next question.
So let me share my screen. Yeah, my screen is visible now.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the last question. Let me identify the purpose of containers. So
You can start answering the question. We have to identify the purpose of containers. What is the purpose of containers? Otherwise, you can also answer for what is a container or what is the need of containers. Anything you can answer either in the chat box or in Menti. So log on to 58885084. I think there is one question related to scaling. So I have answered for that. Adding more CPU unit does help with scaling. Sonali, can you present that question? If you have it, no. Okay, let's finish this first, then I will move on to that question.
which question, ma'am?
There is one question, no? Okay, you have answered it. Okay, only one person have attended the question. Okay. Lakshmi answered here in chat box. Containers are used to run any small module or portion of the code. Okay, very good. Okay, any more questions? One person have answered in Menti and one person in chat box. Any more questions related to containers? Sorry, any more answers related to containers? I think only two have answered for this question. I think you can display the answer for this containers. So container is a self-contained environment with OS and minimal libraries. Very good. So that is what discussed in video lecture also. It is used to create self-contained images that can be version controlled. So both the answers were correct, and it is apt to the containers. Containers will have representing a minimal satisfaction that is required to do a particular application job in it, right? So, for example, we can represent Docker as Docker is also represented as one of the examples of containers, and Kubernetes. So many number of containers are available to the specific things that has to be done. So it is a self-contained environment. And it consists of OS as well as libraries. But the libraries which is contained for this container is of minimal number that is required to satisfy the particular need of that application, right? So if you're doing something in that particular application, you can integrate the container for that particular purpose, and that container will take care of that particular module, what you're going to do, with the minimal libraries that is satisfying for that particular module, right? So based on that, you can integrate the container whichever is needed. And this OS and the limited libraries that are needed for the container is just enough to run some process in that application, right? So either it can able to handle the particular module for that particular application, or it can able to handle the process, some process which are based on that containers, and that will be managed and monitored by this, executed and managed by this containers, right? With this OS that is already installed in that container, as well as with the minimal libraries, right? So containers, whatever the things that is needed for that particular process execution, that will be available there, and that is bundled into a single environment, and that environment you can use for that specified purpose, right? So that is represented as containers, and it is mainly used for a specified um, purpose of executing a particular process or executing a particular module, right? So that is represented as containers. Okay. I think that is the main use of containers. And if you have any doubts related to containers, you can ask it now. And one more thing here in containers, each process is self-contained, and it can directly talk to another process, but the information sharing cannot be done with the another process. Right. So if you have any doubts related to these containers, you can ask it now. Okay. So if there is no other question, I think Sonal, we can wind up the session. They have one more session to attend for 7 o'clock.
Okay, so all the students that have another session at 7 p.m., they can leave. And if apart from that, if anyone has something to ask about any activity questions, apart from that, in the chat box, I had answered those. But if apart from that, you had any queries regarding the activity questions, or so you can ask it now. Okay, so we'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes, and then if you have any queries regarding the week's activity questions, you can also post it on chat if you are unable to unmute. Okay, so we will wait for 2 minutes and then we can wind up. As on 7 p.m., I guess another session will have to go on. Yeah. Okay, ma'am. I think we can wind up. I think there is no questions. Uh,
Okay, thank you all for presenting yourself in this session. Thank you all.
okay. Thank you everyone for coming into the session. Have a nice day. Okay, thank you.